Hello, everybody. It is the American Doofus Show. Don't be a doofus. This is the 28th of February. It is 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That means the Monday night report. We're live. We're talking, of course, about primarily about Ukraine and Russia. And I want to thank everybody for watching. Thank you all watching live. Thank you all watching on the replay, if you will, on what will become the recorded version of this live. I had more than one person ask me about, the government watches your channel, and just I honestly don't think they just sit down and watch every episode of my show. They monitor my channel. I know that, probably for keywords. And I mean, just think about it. I had January 6th, I had for a month beforehand, and was laying out things that have been leaked to me that U.S. intelligence didn't know. And I mean, I've had Antifa on, I've had militia, I've had 3%ers, I've had Boogaloo. I mean, come on. I've had a lot of people, different kinds of people, different philosophies, different ideologies on the show. So it's, those that doubted that, I just wanted to make it clear that it's highly likely they are monitoring the show. Okay. Not, like I said, I don't, and I've been told other things, and I don't know what to believe, what not to believe. I do know I'm just going to keep doing the show. Okay. We're going to start out with, I got a lot of stuff tonight. And again, hello to everybody watching. This is what's happening. This is the latest that's happening as far as Ukraine. Russia's moving quickly to choke off supplies to Kyiv by sealing off the western part of the city. If you've watched any mainstream media at all, you've seen a 40-mile long convoy coming to basically encircle Kyiv, the capital of Ukraine. And if you go back and watch before this even started, I said, if it does happen, here's what he's going to do. He's going to encircle Kyiv and Kharkiv, and a lot of people are saying that's not how modern warfare works, and it's not normally how modern warfare works. Keep in mind, this isn't about Ukraine. Okay. I spend a whole bunch of time when I'm not on here doing a live or recording an episode. I'm spending a whole lot of time listening to briefings and listening in on conversations. And I do a whole lot more listening than I do talking. I save all my talking for here with you. And I was listening to one of the briefings today, and this is going to keep circulating through these episodes, but race plays a factor. And I was listening, and a man said, I've got it written down here because I wrote it down and quoted it because it was being translated. And he said, in this case, they're fighting someone who looks like you, and it's much harder. It's much harder than, say, when we went into Syria, where they aren't white. So races, we need to educate people on the fact that we are one race, the human race, and quit looking at each other based on the pigment of our skin. It's a it's been it's happened for so very long that it's going to take a while for us to change. But man, we got to get started. We got to get started. Also, before I get started on everything else, 2 years ago today, the first official confirmed death from the COVID virus, COVID-19, 2 years ago today. And I say official confirmed because there were some suspected deaths and some suspected infections prior to when it was officially announced that it was here. Been a crazy 2 years, and as crazy as 2020 was, and then 2021. Thought, man, 2022, maybe 2022 will be different, and it is. It's worse. I ended. Oh, wait a minute. I want to show. Actually, I wasn't even sharing that, was I? Sorry. This is. I read it, but I didn't share it with you. My bad. I don't want that. Okay. I do want to see what he has to say, but okay, I guess I'll go see. Putin is frustrated and expressing unusually burst of anger at people in his inner circle over the state of the military campaign so far and the worldwide condemnation of his actions, two current and one former U.S. official. Okay. I'll tell you what. I told you what Marco Rubio said. We don't really need to go back and see it. And I also wanted to share this from Senator Rubio. Thank you to the many network and independent journalists put themselves in harm's way to bring both the harsh truth and the inspiring stories emerging from the Ukraine vision. I hope he remembers to do that when the conflicts here are here at home amongst ourselves. Also, much respect to the international online open source intelligence community. And what that is, a whole bunch of people listening to other people's ideas, and it's a bunch of vetting of videos, a bunch of making sure the spots that we're showing are actually happening on the spots they're supposed to be happening, because there's so much false information going on, and a lot of people are blaming it on Russia and Russian bots, and that's true, but also a lot of it is people just trying to make money, people just trying to get clicks. So he goes on to say it's integrated into the broader work of the intelligence community. Okay, so I want to start where I kind of ended this afternoon, and that was with the Wagner Group. I think the last report I gave this afternoon was there were 400 members of the Wagner Group that had been brought and had entered Kyiv, and their mission was to assassinate the president, President Zelensky of the Ukraine. And it's actually, they pronounce it Wagner, but it's actually spelled Wagner, Wagner. And the same as, we would say Wagner, but it was Wagner that was the composer. And I brought it up in one of the, I brought it up in one of the sessions, and asked about that's where I was corrected. It's pronounced Wagner. And instead of talking to me about it, they gave me a couple of words. They said, go look for this. And so I did. I went and did some searching, and I found out a little bit about this Wagner group. This is from May 24th, 2018. It's the New York Times. The artillery barrage was so intense that the American commandos dived into foxholes for protection, emerging covered in flying dirt and debris to fire back at columns of tanks advancing under the heavy shelling. It was the opening salvo in a nearly 4-hour assault in February by around 500 pro-Syrian government forces, including Russian mercenaries. And they threatened to inflame already simmering tensions between Washington and Moscow. Because if U.S. troops and Russian troops collide, World War III is on. And then China takes, and China's just watching right now. China's just waiting. They're just watching. They're just observing. They're not making it a bunch of irrational statements. They're probably trying to make sure North Korea stays under control. But other than that, China's just going to watch. And to give evidence to back up that statement, their stance on Ukraine is so absurd. They say Ukraine should be a completely neutral area. No government, neither Russian government or Western government, no government of either kind, just a neutral area. It's a big place. It's the second largest country in Europe. The only country larger is Russia. Okay, so we don't want our troops involved. And there's talk of there needs to be a no-fly zone over Ukraine, or at least parts of Ukraine, so that Russia can't use their air superiority. And if that were to happen, it would have to be at some point either NATO or U.S. planes enforcing that no-fly zone. At the onset, it would be NATO planes, and at some point it would be U.S. planes enforcing that no-fly zone. And Article 5 of the NATO Charter says if you attack one, you attack all. So that's the importance of, even back in 2018, that you didn't want U.S. troops and Russian troops, no matter the numbers, involved in any kind of armed confrontation. In the end, 200 to 300 of the attacking fighters were killed. And wait a minute. My bad. I'm sorry. I wish I had a producer to put the right stuff up here with me. The artillery barrage was so intense. Okay, I read all that to you. I talked about all this. In the end, 200 to 300 of the attacking firefighters were killed. The others retreated under merciless airstrikes from the United States, returning later to retrieve their battlefield dead. The Russians are starting to retrieve some of their KIA soldiers and transporting them by train back to Russia. None of the Americans at the small outpost in eastern Syria, which about 40 of them, none of the Americans were harmed, and 200 to 300 were killed in the opposing force. And many of those in that opposing force, we scroll down again, you can go to the New York Times and read the whole article if you'd like, but the important part is right down here in the last sentence. Paramilitary mercenaries, most likely a part of the Wagner Group, a company often used by the Kremlin to carry out objectives that officials do not want to be connected to the Russian government. Again, 400 of those 400 employees of that company, mercenaries, hired killers, trained killers, are going into are in Kyiv, supposedly, and with the purpose of assassinating the president. 44, and don't get me wrong, the special forces that made up that 40-person unit, the baddest of the bad, okay? But do not discredit the Ukrainian, either special forces or the people, as we have seen. So that's the Wagner group, the Wagner group, just in case you hear more about it. Chris and I talked about them. They are a big factor in Russia trying to overthrow other governments in an attempt to harvest minerals and natural resources. So let's run through some other things real quick here. Not only is what's going on impacting the world, it's also impacting our country, including politics. Chris Christie quoted to Newsweek, yeah, that's genius and very savvy, all right. He says there's no walking that back. History is watching. So it appears that the Republican Party is going to be either a pro-Putin or pro-American party. And also, I want to touch on this. The House is expected to pass an anti-lynching bill 2 years after Republican Senator Rand Paul blocked unanimous passage. So other little blurbs here as we get into tonight's episode. I mentioned that no-fly zone, and why that would be. It would be the beginning of World War III, because there'd be a confrontation between U.S. and Russia, and you're out there sitting there going, "Aren't you kind of overreacting?" Because the Ukrainians are handing it to the Russians at the moment. So it appears. My thoughts on that are that that Putin's holding back, that he's got a lot in reserve. Ukraine's not the objective. Ukraine's not the target. Ukraine is a platform. Ukraine is a stage. Okay, it's us. It's the United States. That's the real target, and this is what the White House press secretary said. Sorry about that. She was asked, is not imposing a no-fly zone over Ukraine. Is the president holding secure to that, saying that a military conflict with Russia is not something the president wants to do? She doesn't say it's not something he won't do, which gives us something to think about. She says what that requires implementation by the U.S. military. It would essentially mean the U.S. military would be shooting down planes, Russian planes. That is definitely escalatory, you think? That would potentially put us into a place where we're in a military conflict with Russia, and that is not something the president wants to do. And she was pressed and said, so that's a no on that. And she said, she could have just said yes. She could have just said, absolutely, that is a no. Instead, she says, those are the reasons why that's not a good idea. Should the president not have taken military action off the table? We haven't for Taiwan. Okay, keep in mind, China's in the background just watching. The president wants to be direct, has always wanted to be direct with the American people about what he will do and what he will not do. He is not sending U.S. forces, men and women who fight for our military, into Ukraine to fight a war with Russia. We are not going to have a military war with Russia with U.S. troops, and he thinks it's vitally important. I'm sure is vitally important. I'm sure important was left off. So it gives us something to think about. Let me hop back over here for a second, say hello to everybody. Hello, everybody. Thank you all for watching, those that are. Puffin, Casey, Sissy, whoever else is in here. Pat Tolliver, hello. This is our Monday night edition of What's Going On and Why It Matters. I don't have a screen for this one. I just want to read the report. Canada bars import of all Russian oil. Now, you'll probably hear a lot about that on mainstream media. You've probably also, what I told you this afternoon in this afternoon's episode, mainstream media is going to say the world is united against Russia. And that's propaganda, because the world is not united against Russia. Russia has allies. Come on. Talk to the people straight, media. So Canada bans import of Russian oil. Here's the secret. They haven't imported any Russian oil since 2018. Okay. They haven't imported any Russian oil since 2018. Now, another report that I don't have a screen for, and this one is a concerning report and something that we really need to think about. Russia has closed airspace around the Bering Sea and around the Bering Sea. And anybody that watches Deadliest Catch knows the Bering Sea and knows how close Russia and America are there. Why are they closing the airspace that close to America? I don't have an answer for that at the moment. I just found out about it just about 90 minutes ago. But it is definitely something for us to think about. And again, the no-fly zone would put us definitely in conflict with Russia. Now, there was actually, let's get back to it here, and let's take a look at what's happening live in Kyiv. Let me go here and pull it up. First of all, there we go. We should be up. Are we there? We are. Okay. This is a live look at Kyiv, the capital of Ukraine. This comes from a source called Fox Business News. Okay, so we're fairly certain that that this one is not on a loop and not being spammed in order to make money. And it is volumes up. There are no sirens. Volumes totally up. There are no sirens. You also notice there are very few points of light. And this is a massive, massive city. So there have been air raid sirens. There have been bombs. They are suspecting that they will be carpet bombed tonight. Currently, it's 10:25 here, so that means it's getting close to daylight over there. It's 4:25, I believe, 4 a.m., almost 4:30. And at the moment, everything's dark. We've got the volume up, so if anything should happen while the show's on, we should hear it and be able to come back to it. Let's move along to Flight Tracker as we do each episode, because because I use it a lot. I monitor a lot of flights when people I care about are flying, and I've been monitoring a lot of flights now that this is going on. Just to give you a little idea, the Sea of Azor right here, Black Sea right here, and Ukraine right up here. Before I get to the flights, I want to come down here and mention Turkey has closed access to the Black Sea. Basically, no shipping can come through the Bosphorus into the Black Sea. And if a Russian naval vessel challenges that, again, Turkey is a member of NATO. Turkey is also trying to walk a tightrope, as India is, and trying to maintain relations with both the United States and the former member of the Soviet Union, the Federation of Russia, which Putin elected himself president for life. This plane has been up for a while, and there's no identification other than these call numbers. I've heard people say that the numbers represent an armed United States drone. So that would be a Predator. And I want to see if we can see what kind of path. It's basically just flying in a tight circular formation around this area, which is bordering Belarus, no, bordering Ukraine. Okay, now let's take a look and see out of Mendenhall. This is going to probably be if it's the same plane, it's probably down here in Romania, keeping an eye on the Russian Navy. I'm guessing this is probably LAGR-22. It is. And again, this is a U.S. Air Force plane. It is a stratotanker. And so it's either refueling other vessels, but other aircraft, but that's not what it's doing. It's this one's been fitted for observation. I'm guessing out here in the sea, as we saw last night, as we talked about last night. 3 planes last night. And let's see, what is this? RCH 260 from Rezov, and there's no destination, and it too is a U.S. Air Force plane. This is a Globemaster. That's a transport flying at 29,575 feet. And then we've got one more. It looks like we've got the armed drone up. We got an LAG R22222, which we Oakley, and we've got one more surveillance plane out here. Okay, this is probably it looks like this is on the way to join, either to join or to relieve LR 222, because it's heading right here, and then 222 is right down there. So massive amount of traffic flying over areas that they're allowed to fly over. A lot of this airspace has been closed to Russian traffic, and as always, I'll keep an eye on that. Here's a look at the actual map without all the planes on it. Ukraine, Moldova has said they will not give assets to Ukraine, nor will they allow assets to be transported across their space. Hungary has said the same thing. They will not aid Ukraine, nor will they allow any aid through Hungary. A little country over here, a couple of little countries to mention. I'll mention this one up here first. This little tiny country below Belgium is Luxembourg, and Luxembourg has committed. It's such a tiny nation; they have very little actual military resources, but they've committed almost everything they have to Ukraine. And then this country here, Switzerland, always neutral, always neutral. Not this time. This time they've joined in sanctions with their European Union and NATO partners. So it all comes down to what Mr. Putin decides he wants to do. I mentioned earlier that in my personal analysis of all of this, that Ukraine is not the objective. Ukraine is a platform. Ukraine is a stage, and the objective is to give legitimate cause to attack and destroy the United States. That sounds insane. It sounds like it's from 1962, not 2022. But I think this just goes to reinforce what I'm saying. The Washington Post, dire predictions about a Russian cyber onslaught haven't come true. For years, cyber war experts have predicted what one would look like, but their predictions so far haven't come true in Ukraine. That's because he's saving the best stuff for attacking us. That's because he's saving the best stuff for attacking us. Now, what else? What else can he do? Well, he's got some weapons of destruction. I'm sorry, I popped over here for just a second to the chat, and a comment caught my eye. Let me hop back in here. That's Canada. Yeah. The U.S. imported 209,000 crude oil and 500 BPD from petroleum. Oh yeah, and they're still doing it. It's still going on, Boogeyman. It's happening every day. The United States hasn't shut off the. Actually, the pipeline runs through Ukraine that United States gets the Russian oil from. So no, we haven't. We have not made that step, and that is probably a step of our last resort. Um, so on with what's up, but I just have a feeling, and it's more than a feeling. Um, I'm not going to sing Boston. It's it's analysis. It's not just emotion. Um, and I believe that the reason you haven't seen the cyber war that Russia could potentially be able to wager is one of two things. Either they aren't that good, or they're saving it all for us. And my hope is they're not that good. And while a lot of troops that are involved in Ukraine are giving up, um, they're saying, they thought they were on training missions. They had no idea they were going into actual combat. They didn't want to shoot people that looked like them. You're going to hear that a lot. Not wanting to shoot people that look like you. Um, I think that um, they're saving their best troops. They're saving their best equipment because it's not about Ukraine. It's about getting the United States involved. And I hope I'm wrong on that. I hope I'm wrong on the on what I've been saying for since before it all started, that Putin is going to cross the nuclear line. Um, does he have things between a nuclear war and an all-out cyber attack somewhere in the middle there? Yes, he does. Um, they're called thermobaric weapons, fuel air bomb, vacuum bomb. Here's um, here's what here's what one looks like. Okay, just so there's no sound to this for some reason. I'm not sure why. Um, but just so let me just run it back. Okay, right here. Um, what happens with these bombs are there's not a whole lot of shrapnel. It's not a bomb made to injure with flying debris. It is a bomb that basically sucks all the oxygen out of the nearby atmosphere and sets it on fire all at once. So you'll see the missile hit, or you'll see the bomb hit and explode up, and then you will see um, a giant, massive fireball. Let me see. That's all the oxygen being sucked in and set on fire and blasted back out. It like sucks the oxygen out of any person that's in the area, sucks it right out of their lungs. That's the crater the actual bomb made, and this is um, what remains of the house. Um, Yes, it is. It's like the napalm from the flamethrowers. Napalm, of course, is just basically jellified gasoline. Gasoline can come as a vapor or as a liquid or as a gel, and and that's what these thermobaric weapons are. They're basically giant napalm uh, projectile objects. Instead of it being on the instead of having a napalm pack on the back like in World War II and a flamethrower, um, now it's launched, either dropped from an airplane or launched from TOS-1 um, Russian ground vehicles. Okay, so one of those was dropped today, right after there was a meeting at the border between a delegation from Russia and a delegation from Ukraine. Um, and as soon as that meeting ended, a bomb exploded outside of Kiev, a thermobaric bomb. And I'm going to play actual footage of that in just a couple of seconds. I wanted you to get a look at this. Um, this is going to this is going to give the impression that all of America stands with Ukraine, and I'm hopeful most of America stands with democracy. But there are going to be those that are offended by this. I'm not one of them, just so you know. But I'm also not one of the people that was offended when black athletes were taking a knee because their people were getting killed by police and trying to draw attention to it. But this is our Statue of Liberty, and she will be adorning the colors of the Ukraine. Been talking about nuclear war for a while. Been talking that it's a more real of a possibility than it's probably been since 1961. And while I've been talking about it for a while, mainstream media hadn't been talking about it a lot. That's starting to change. The BBC.
With one announcement, Vladimir Putin left the world asking, would he?
I'm ordering the Minister of Defense and the Chief of the General Staff to put the strategic nuclear forces on special alert.
Russia has the biggest nuclear arsenal in the world, and Putin wouldn't be the first leader to give the order. In 1945, the US dropped 2 nuclear weapons on Japan. They effectively ended the Second World War and killed over 100,000 people. In 1949, the Soviet Union tested a bomb at this test site in what is now Kazakhstan. Then, in 1962, the Cuban Missile Crisis almost brought nuclear war between the US and Russia. And having come so close, in 1968, the world agreed a new arrangement, the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty. 191 countries are currently signed up. Nuclear powers agreed to reduce their arsenals. In exchange, others agreed not to have them at all. And in the 70s, the deals between the US and Russia continued. 2 more focused on long-range missiles. And though the rivalry of these superpowers intensified, in 1991, there was the New START Treaty. It aimed to decrease the size of their overall arsenals. And underpinning the West's justification for these weapons is an idea called nuclear deterrence. The UK government fact sheet states that potential aggressors know that the costs of attacking the UK or our NATO allies could far outweigh any benefit they could hope to achieve, the possibility of mutually assured destruction being the strongest of reasons not to press the button. That's the theory, but it's under pressure. This week, the former Russian president, Dmitry Medvedev, warned it may pull out of the New START deal. And both countries still have huge arsenals. America has an estimated 5,428 weapons, Russia an estimated 5,977, all of which is why we're looking to history and the present.
It's not the first time this has happened. It's happened several times
during the Cold War. It never, of course, led to nuclear war, but I can't see how this is a positive development for the Ukraine crisis.
That is perhaps an understatement. And today, Russia blamed various comments by the West for its nuclear escalation. The Kremlin spokesperson said, "We believe such statements are absolutely unacceptable. I would not call the authors of these statements by name, although it was the British foreign minister." Now, it seems unlikely that one comment by Liz Truss is the reason Putin feels the need to flex his military muscles. His troops are on day 5 of this war. Kiev hasn't fallen, the West is united, and so he raises the stakes.
This is a reminder of, almost Soviet era brinksmanship, nuclear brinksmanship, like we had at the height of the Cold War. But the question is, what is the strategy here? What is the end game? And I wonder if Putin actually understands that or knows that.
We can't know that, but we know Putin's shown scant regard for human lives and international rules. And we know he has the weapons.
Okay. Germany. I'm not going to play the whole thing. Obviously, it's 26 minutes long, but
the crisis surrounding Russia's invasion of Ukraine suddenly seems even more frightening than before, and people have begun to think the unthinkable.
Your protein supplement
This as Russian President Vladimir Putin threatened the world at large, suggesting perhaps that he could be ready to use nuclear weapons. It's a move that has triggered widespread fears, unparalleled since the Cold War. So the question we're asking here on To The Point is, Putin's threat, is Russia ready to use the nuclear option?
okay. So I've been talking about it for quite some time, and it's just based on studies and the way the world is. And now the rest of the media is going to have to start talking about it, because Putin's end game is destroying the United States. And our hope is that he's taken out from within, because we're not in a position to take him out. And it has to come from within. And that's my hope and prayer that it does, because if it doesn't, he's going to cross the nuclear line, probably with Kiev. And it'll be limited, because again, Ukraine is just a stage. It's just a platform. It's not the end game. Thank you all for watching, and we're far from finished. A lot more to go. So if you just joined us, thanks for joining. Go back and watch from the start if you'd like to catch yourself up. And we're going to go back here to Twitter for just a second. Again, we'd like to show you things that you're not going to see on mainstream media, but some of the stuff we're going to be showing here, I'm certain is going to pop up later on tonight or tomorrow on mainstream media. But this is one of the personal stories. I'm receiving messages from acquaintances that their relatives who joined local defense units are held by Russians as hostages. They don't know what to do and how to figure it out, if they are alive and where. Not sure if anyone controls this. And there was a now in retrospect, you have to think, there was a propaganda piece released about 13 soldiers defending, and I played when it happened. 13 soldiers defending what was known as Snake Island, and being under attack by Russia. Russia giving them an ultimatum. The soldiers saying "F you," and all the soldiers were killed. Well, as it turns out, All the soldiers are alive. They're prisoners. So while that was a really feel-good story, it's not true. Okay. It's not true. I'm sorry. Okay. Covered that. And I want to go to this. Again, producer and director, and as well as host. So I appreciate everybody bearing with me for while I move about the screens here. This isn't the easiest software to navigate. Here we go. I think I want to show you this, just a little segment of this report from CNN, and I'll explain why I want to show it.
On the outskirts of Kiev, and this is one of those Russian Soviet era vehicles which is completely burned out. You can see this is a bridge, actually is an access point to the northwest of Kiev, the Ukrainian capital, and the Russian column that has come down here has been absolutely hammered. Obviously, we're still in a very exposed situation right now, but we can just bring you along here. There's the debris everywhere, the twisted metal of these vehicles. This is obviously just a truck carrying supplies. We saw the armoured vehicle in front there. I'm looking around, absolutely. Look at this. I mean, what kind of munitions does it take to do that to a car, to a vehicle? You know, I know that I've been speaking to the local Ukrainian commanders here. They've been saying that they were using Western anti-tank missiles to attack these columns. Look, so recent, the battle.
That's the Western anti-tank weapons they're talking about are either rocket-propelled grenades or NLAWs, which we've shown on here quite a bit. The shoulder-fired single-round anti-tank weapon.
This vehicle is still smoking. There's still smoke coming out the back of that. Ammunition boxes on the ground. There's unexploded grenades, you know, in various like
That's one of the things I wanted to, reason I'm playing this. If you find yourself in a situation like this, and whether you're a reporter, a journalist, a live streamer, or you're just trying to move through an area, always watch out for unexploded ordnance. They're actually pineapple grenades.
pineapple grenades everywhere. You know, a real scene of devastation along this bridge. According to the local Ukrainian military that I've been speaking to, there may be as many as 10. I mean, look.
Okay. This is another thing I want to draw your attention to. Then I'm going to stop this video because it shows a bunch of dead bodies up ahead. He's walking along and something draws his attention. Something catches his eye. Something that is out of the ordinary.
10. I mean, look, I mean, this is a bit of almost a cliche, but obviously somebody's brought a memento from home.
That's a little stuffed animal. Things like that are often triggers for improvised explosive devices. Okay. You're not going to find that here because these are attacks against Russia, but you never know what situation you're going to find yourself in. And if you see something in a pile of rubble that looks really, really out of place, leave it alone. Just leave it alone. Okay. The United Nations General Assembly met today and voted to have a Security Council meeting on the humanitarian situation. And I'm going to play just a little bit of the Russian ambassador and the Ukrainian ambassador.
extended assistance to the peaceful people in Donbass?
Oh, crap. I moved my hand and it took the cursor. Okay, well, I'm not gonna mess with that. The Russian ambassador and the Ukrainian ambassador went back and forth as to who was to blame and yada yada yada. And they again diplomatically gave each other the middle finger. They don't like each other. So I'm going to go to my bookmarks from Twitter and run down these. These are, so this is all sorted out, and aren't going to be any advertisements, shouldn't be any advertisements or stories that aren't Ukraine Russian related or related to what we're going to talk about on the show. Dee Snider, for those that don't know, lead singer of a band called Twisted Sister. And he says, people are asking me why I endorsed the use of "we're not going to take it" for the Ukrainian people and did not for the anti-maskers. Well, one use is for the righteous battle against oppression. The other is an infantile feet stomping against an inconvenience. That's the opinion of Dee Snider. But the people of Ukraine can freely and without copyright violation sing "we're not going to take it." I found this to be an important story to share that's not getting a lot of talk. I mentioned it last night that Ukraine is forming a foreign legion. The last time this was done was back prior to World War I, when the French Foreign Legion was formed so that fighters could fight on the side of France in conquests. And these are people joining the Foreign Legion in Ukraine. So there will be U.S. citizens and Canadians on the ground in Ukraine. They will not be representing their respective United States or Canadian military. And this is from the Independent. One Canadian ex-soldier is selling his, sorry, let me get you on the tab with me. One Canadian ex-soldier is selling his motorcycle to fight Russia in Ukraine. An American Army veteran claims already on the front lines in the east of the country. Another Canadian citizen, a medical first responder, is at the Ukraine border, and they crossed Monday ready to join the battle. So,
would you, like the Foreign Secretary Liz Truss, say...
Stop. Thank you.
...that if anybody wants to go over and fight on the Ukrainian...
Okay. That wasn't supposed to start playing until I got back up here, but she went ahead. So we're going to listen here for just a couple
Would you,
of
like the Foreign Secretary Liz
seconds.
Truss, say that if anybody wants to go over and fight on the Ukrainians' behalf from the UK, is welcome to do so?
I probably wouldn't, and I think that the travel advice is that UK nationals should not travel to Ukraine. But if people are filled with a desire to stand up for freedom, like generations of young people before them, they would be very, very welcome at their nearest Army, Navy, Air Force recruiting office, whether they want to serve full-time or part-time as a reservist in the UK Armed Forces, if they want to join.
Okay, so just so we're clear, the UK would rather you not go and fight in Ukraine. and would rather you join the United Kingdom forces. Get back to the screen here. I've got two different softwares I use, and the one I'm using right now, when I close it, when I close the screen, it closes everything out, and that's not what I was wanting to do. I was wanting to go here and hang with me for just a second. Okay. I closed the whole page down. I apologize there. We're back up and moving right along. Okay, I'm sharing the right tab. The United States has informed the Russian mission, that means the Russian embassy, that the United States are beginning the process of expelling 12. Why did that happen? 12 intelligence operatives from the Russian mission who have abused their privileges of residency in the U.S. by engaging in espionage activities and activities that are adverse to the U.S.'s national security. Okay, this is a look at where things stand now. We looked at the Ukrainian map both through Flight Tracker and through Google Maps, and the areas in red are under Russian control at the moment, including right up to the border of Kiev, and the idea is to bring the front around here from this side, to bring this group down here to close that, to bring this group here to close that, and to basically encircle and starve off Kyiv. Again, I said they were going to do that with Kharkiv over here and Kyiv here, with an attempt being, if it was conventional, to try to divide the country, probably from Kharkiv down here to Odessa, so that all of this would become Russian waterways. Again, it's not conventional to do that, to try to lay siege to a city. It reminds me of Vicksburg in the Civil War, but again, it's not about Ukraine. It's about getting us involved, in my opinion. There was an assault on Hostomel Air Force Base airport, and that's where the largest plane in the world was destroyed. And I've got some footage leading up to that attack. I got some footage of the attack as it was about to happen.
Все, пиздец. Сидите, сейчас, секунду. Это не шутки. Ого. Ого. Ого, блядь.
So those were some of the Russian helicopters involved in that attack. We showed a mayor of one of the Ukrainian cities being apprehended for planting tracking devices for the Russian Air Force. Ukrainian forces have caught this ex-mayor of the Kharkiv region. I don't know why it keeps refreshing. Keeps refreshing and taking me back to the top. It's looking for, it does that when I'm looking for new stories, but my apologies here as we scroll through. Here we go. This mayor decided to let the enemy forces enter the city without any fight and began collaborating with them on February 27th. He's facing high treason charges. Again, if you watch the movie Red Dawn, the father of one of the main characters, cooperated, as did eventually the kid. These are Russian army rations, and what's important about that is when we zoom in, let me go back to the start where we show, there we go. They expired October the 2nd, 2015, some 7 years ago. So they're not bringing their best troops. They're not bringing their best equipment, because this is not about Ukraine. State-run news, this is from Newsweek, state-run Russian news site accidentally declares Ukraine's defeat. The article also contained racist undertones by suggesting that Anglo-Saxon people must unite in order to control Europe's future. This is from the state-run Russian news for all those people in communities of color who think Putin is great. This one is from Fox News. And again, if one of two things are happening here, either Russia, either I'm right and Ukraine is not the objective, or Russia is really not the big badass military force that everyone has anticipated them to be for all these years. I think it's the latter. I think it's the former, rather. I think you know what I think. I think it's all a platform, a stage. It's all a foreshadow to try to get the United States involved and to destroy the United States, with or without the help of China. So we've shown a few. Oh, this is frustrating, but we can deal. Getting information out is much more important. And again, we see a drone attack. And I know I'm harping on this, but it all plays in. Drones fly slow. They don't fly very high. And they don't have stealth capabilities. Russia could take these drones out, I believe, if they so choose. But they don't. They bring in their equipment and the drones come over and do this. And with the naked eye, you can see those are rockets. So you would think there would be, if they were serious, some sort of air defense, especially around this 40-mile convoy that everybody keeps talking about. And it is real. We've got the footage of that. Now, this is a look specifically at Kyiv. Again, Russian tanks moving west to circle the city in an attempt to cut it off. Heavy bombardment overnight. Fighting continues in Cherchev as Russian forces try to cut off Kyiv from the east. Everything we've been talking about. And this is why this isn't the elite of the Russian army. Ukrainian citizens are reporting that Russian forces at a depot in the Sumy region abandoned the outpost, fled into the woods during the night, leaving behind BMPs, BTR-80s, MTLBs, and infantry transport vehicles. And there's no indication as to why they fled. These are not hardened, battle-tested troops. And I think Russia has some hardened, battle-tested troops. So again, and this is another operational assessment. This comes from Defense Intelligence as of today, again, showing us where Russia is trying. They're trying to, here's the Donbass region. This region is where everything started. The idea they were going to go in and liberate these people from Nazi occupiers. And that's what they told some of their troops. Some of their troops, the troops up here, they were telling it's just an exercise. Ukrainian pilots arrived in Poland to pick up new MiG-29s. Formerly, MiGs were only Russian aircraft, but many European countries now have MiGs. And the Ukrainian pilots, it's confirmed that they are in Poland. What's not confirmed is whether they will have to launch from Poland or not. There's some conflicting reports. Some saying that the MiGs come in and out of Polish airspace because they don't want them on Ukrainian ground when they're not in the air. They don't want them at Ukrainian airports or Ukrainian air bases, and in which case it makes it much more likely that a fellow NATO country in Poland ends up getting hit. Okay, I was going to show you a little bit of the article, but we've already covered the Statue of Liberty. Okay. I told you the other day on the that on Ukrainian radio they were instead of playing music, they were giving out instructions on how to build Molotov cocktails and improvised explosive devices. Okay, he said his only concern was that there wouldn't be enough vehicles left for him to use his Molotov cocktail. That was because everybody else would have burned him up first. I've said that mainstream media is going to say the whole world is united against Russia, how Putin united the world against him. The world is not united against him. A lot of the world is, don't get me wrong, but at the same time, the whole world is not. China, for example, a major large number of people. India, Turkey, Brazil, and while they're not all specifically allied with Russia, they aren't coming out against him either. So the idea of the entire world, again, I talked about this afternoon. A lot of hoax stuff, as I've been telling you. That's why the stuff we do in trying to verify what we put out, so that we're not showing anything that doesn't pertain or is helps to lead to a hoax or whatever. And podcaster Joe Rogan apparently got caught up in it. He posted on Facebook, then deleted a fake CNN story that said actor Steven Seagal was spotted among Russian special forces in Ukraine. Seagal was once banned from Ukraine, but the 69-year-old is no soldier. This is geez, that just tells you I've got way too much stuff on here, and I gotta clear this out, because it's got way too much stuff on here. These are the as of yesterday, or yesterday now, these are the Russian army frequencies, the ones they use during the day, the ones they use at night. And you can actually use an app called Google Phones and listen in if you have the frequencies. So either Russia is not really as good as anybody thought they were, or they are not sending their best. Now, this we've talked about this convoy, this 40-mile long convoy, and we're going to give you a view of just a portion of it from inside the convoy. This was intercepted from a Russian phone. I'm no military expert, but I am an analyst, and I cannot help but question why they are A, so very close together, and B, traveling without air support. It is a massive amount of troops just from what we are seeing. So the those that are, you know, have said the convoy is not real. The convoy is very real. Again, the Russians are transporting. They're transporting oil or transporting diesel. I've got to cut the volume because of copyright violation potential for any music of any length of time, unless it's music I've written, which I got some of that. Those of you that watch the show know every once in a while in the beginning, I'll play a couple of seconds or two. This is another drone strike. And this is a rail. This is striking fuel moving to the front lines on rail on a Russian train. Let's go back to you can see the tankers and well, refresh right in the middle of that. Okay. All right. So that puts us to checking up to the minute, up to the moment here. Coming up on nearly 8 hours of airtime for this plane that definitely isn't American and definitely isn't providing information to Ukraine. Okay, this is somebody that's been monitoring. I'm guessing we're going to get a flight tracker here. This plane's been circling. And that's in Poland. Krakow is over here in Poland. So this is probably, this is 11-0-0-169. This is the plane that I thought was a drone, that I was told was a drone. And I think if it's been, I think this guy's overreacting. It's been circling there for 8 hours. Wow. So that is, that's a drone. And I don't think he has all the information I have, because what I have is that it's an armed Predator drone. 35 minutes ago, air raid alerts in Volyn, Ternopil, and the Ravine Oblasts. The oblasts are like counties here in the United States. From an hour ago, Ukraine will naturally and understandably ask for everything it knows it won't get. Instant EU membership. Okay. They might get instant EU membership. Don't say that. Okay. Again, it's morning their time. Heavy fighting in Mariupol from 37 minutes ago. The island state of Tasmania in Australia has fallen largely offline with internet, phone lines, and TV services down. after an incident affecting fiber cables to the mainland. This is an hour ago. Again, just kind of keeping you update of what's happening at the moment before wrapping things up here. And again, this is my personal page, so not everything is Ukraine. And let me translate this. Okay, never mind. Biden's State of the Union address comes up tomorrow. Tomorrow night, we'll be covering that. I don't necessarily know as we'll be broadcasting the whole thing, but we'll be covering it and probably cut in and out. And also the trucker protest is supposedly going to be happening. You have to wonder about the optics of a bunch of truckers chanting freedom, 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 when they have the freedom to go there, the freedom to go home, and Ukraine's under a monster attack. 5 dead as man kills 3 children and himself in a California church. That was earlier this evening. And Sacramento is where it doesn't say that in the tweet there, but Sacramento was, or a suburb of Sacramento, was where that occurred, sadly. And here we go. Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau just announced that beginning today, Canada will refuse all Russian oil imports into the country, effectively banning Russian oil from Canada. They are first country to do so, but I assume many more will follow over the coming days. Again, the rest of the story, Canada hasn't imported any Russian oil since 2018. So it is it's a great piece of propaganda. Obviously, it's, rah, 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 but it's not going to have any impact on Canada. Just saying. And Shell Oil Company will exit Russian oil and gas investments the day after British Petroleum, or BP, did the same thing. So it's not, I don't want the propaganda of the entire world is united against Russia, but at the same time, I don't want to minimize the impact that the part of the world that is against Russia are having and will have if things continue. And okay, that was back in February 24th. So let's, we're getting close to 90 minutes, and I don't like to go much longer than 90 minutes, so that those that watch on replay, I don't like to take a bunch of anybody's time talking about the same things over and over and over. Thank you all for watching. Thank you all that are watching, and those that are watching live currently, and those that are watching the replays. Pi 180, thank you. I appreciate that. And it's odd. This is what I'm supposed to be doing, is how I'm going to say it. Diane McLean, hello. The Boogeyman. Ukraine order. Yeah, I'm not going to get into a bunch of, especially here this late, a bunch of internal United States politics. I played a speech last night that I gave when I was when I was running for Congress against Mike Pence. And I've had a lot of comments about that speech, actually, since we're here wrapping things up. You know, I've had some people that appreciated the speech. And just to let you know, that speech was both the beginning of the rise of my political career, and it was the beginning of the fall of my political career. And it came down to 5 words. All right. I lit the thing up. I lit the place up. There were 500 people at that event at that casino, and all UAW members. And I lit the place up. The people loved me. The party hated me. Democratic Party hated me. The people loved me. And the 5 words were, I'm tired of illegal immigration. Okay. Illegal immigration, taking jobs. Now this was back in 2004, the spring of 2004, the summer of 2004 was when that speech was actually given. So a long time ago. And at that time, things were different. And I was fighting to try to keep jobs in America. I didn't win. I didn't get any support from the Democratic Party. I got a lot of support from the people. And, you know, it's okay because I'm not a Democrat. I'm an anti-establishment independent. And, but we could have won. We could have beat Mike Pence. He would have never been governor. He would have never been vice president. I got 41% of the vote with less than $50,000, and he spent $1.5 million in a district that is 72% Republican. Yeah, no, that's I got receipts. I'm not just talking. Okay, and the thing that made sure I never had a future was the truth that I love immigrants. I think people that go through, you know, I think this is the greatest country in the world, and I don't blame anybody in the world for wanting to come here and live. Do so legally. Go through the process and do it legally. And I personally welcome you with open arms. But borders are borders for a reason, in my opinion. And that's to define a nation or a state or a county or whatever it is. But oh, thanks, Diane. So yeah, it was a lot of votes. I'm the only person ever to get 100,000 votes in that district and not win. So yeah, I did. I got a lot of votes. But you know, to I forget, Boogeyman, wasn't it? Yeah, Boogeyman. But to your point, I don't think the issue on the border is as bad as a lot of propaganda lead people to believe that there are, you know, tens of thousands of people streaming across the border. But at the same time, we need to have a more secure border. Does that mean a giant wall named after Donald Trump? No, we got the technology. We've been watching the technology that we can secure the border with. So, and I don't mean armed drones, but we got drones, we got security guard, border guards are all the time saying, just give us the stuff. We don't need a wall. Just give us what we need and we can take care of the area. Now, if they come in mass, well, that's a totally different story. And that's for another episode. So again, thank you all for watching. I greatly appreciate it. Again, Pi 180, thank you for your for your comment. If you'd like to reach out to me, if you'd like to have me cover something that deserves more attention than it's getting, I'll make sure and do so. You can reach out at americandufus, all one word, AMERICANDUFUS at Gmail. You can also help support the show by Cashapp, $American-Dufus. Once again, all one word, AMERICANDUFUS. And I'm going to show you something here real quick, just so you know. A lot of talk, the kids talk about receipts, about having receipts, about having proof. And I'm just going to show you something, just so you know that I don't blow any smoke up anybody's butt. Here you can see, and I'll see if I can blow it up a little bit just so you can see it. I make around $50 a month, and that's including super chats and members. So, and if that's not enough, just so you know, I'm not conning anybody. I'm not making a ton of money doing this. I'm working for the world. I'm working for the world. I'm working for the people of the world. And again, here are my recorded videos. Ineligible for monetization. That means you can't get any money. Limited. That means no ads due to content. Okay. Because of the shows I do, people don't advertise. Here are my lives. All right. This one's currently going on. So when I turn on the monetization, it will immediately come up limited. Immediately. They don't have to go through the whole, they don't have to watch the whole show anymore. And oddly enough, this one they left on. And this was, I think it's called historic. This was actually in the middle of that episode, Russia launched the attack. So again, just to show you, I'm not conning anybody. I'm not, I'm just doing what I do because, for lack of a better word, it's what I'm supposed to be doing. It's what I'm supposed to be doing. All right. I could be doing a bunch of other things, and a lot of people want me to do a bunch of other things, but for some reason, I know in my heart, I just feel that this is what I'm supposed to be doing. Enough of that. Thank you all for watching. This is news done differently. Obviously, it's not the normal way we do news around, except here. This is different, and we don't tell you what to think or how to think. Just give you things to think about. And it's important we do that, because too many times we're fed things and led to think ways that are not always in our best interest. And I have the world's best interest at heart. I may be wrong. I may be misguided at times, but it's not because I don't care, because I love you all. I truly do. I really do. And I wish you nothing but blessings. Namaste, shalom, salam. We're inclusive here. If you're a believer of the Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, as I am, blessings upon you and yours. Here, let me do it this way all right. I love you all. Thank you so very much. This is the American Doofus Show. Don't be a doofus. It's a dark world. Do try to be a light. Thank you for watching. We'll be back on tomorrow night at 10 o'clock live. the American Doofus Show. Thank you.